So dumb. Okay, what's up? What's up? What's up? Coach Bruce is live in the studio, and going to keep it brief today because I'm on dinner duty and I want to get to making my spaghetti so my family can have this delicious meal. I'm going to throw down on them. What I want to talk to first, I want to just note the growth. Like I want to pat myself on the back because a month ago I was I was struggling because I was coaching one client. Um, and we hadn't even been working together that long. This week, I had five coaching calls with five different clients, and that is, you know, it's like I'm not there by any means. I'm still, needing to find an alternate source of employment to like bring in more finances, but it feels really good to be doing the work. I really, really enjoy coaching, and the growth that I'm getting to be a part of feels so amazing. Like I feel such a sense of fulfillment, and I'm really proud of my clients because they're stepping into a new chapter in their lives that I'm really happy to be a part of, and I just love seeing them grow. So yeah, go me, go my clients, go everybody. Let's keep doing this thing and continuing to grow because it is obviously in everybody's best interest to continue growing always. But that subject of growth had me thinking about something else that one of my clients was kind of struggling with, and that is adjusting to the current version of you. I think that it's a really important thing to consider. Have you been able to let go of who you used to be? The the lies that you told yourself, the impressions that you try to put on others, the stories that were both told to you and that you told, if they're not the current story, have you been able to let that go? This is something I've struggled with this in my personal life because as I would grow, I would I would jump to the new version without having any, not kind of a grieving process, not necessarily grieving, but any grieving process. Like there was no reconciliation of that past version of myself, and that involved, in my past versions, multiple of myself. I've hurt a lot of people, and I've been really inconsiderate and really self-absorbed, and that has damaged other people, especially my wife. So whenever like I'm in this new heightened state where I'm doing much better on so many different levels, it's important to remember where you came from without still identifying as that. So, for example, me trying to take a more like assertive stance in my parenting and having, having a confrontation with my wife because she doesn't trust me to follow through with whatever it is I'm saying that I'm going to do. And that's, I would feel hurt and shocked. And it's like, how dare you? I've been this new version of myself for 3 months. How can you question what I'm saying? Well, because for the 15 years before that, I'd been a liar and somebody she couldn't really count on and somebody who had deceived her a lot. So my words didn't have as much weight as I would like them to. That's her perception. It is valid. It's her reality because that's what she lived. That's her lived experience. And I definitely don't want to invalidate that because it happened. I did it. I want to take accountability for that, but I also want to move forward. I want to not be chained to those past mistakes. And I think the process for me was about being able to look at them and forgive myself for the thing. And I know that sounds selfish in itself, but it's really important to have grace and forgive yourself for your mistakes. Not make excuses, not say, "Well, I did this because," and and if you wouldn't have been like this, I wouldn't have. No, like I wasn't. I was a jerk. I was a liar. I was a lot of things, and that's who I was. I did those things. but I was hurt, and I wasn't true. I wasn't honest with myself. I didn't realize how far off track I'd gotten whenever I'd gotten there. And now I have grace for myself and knowing that I didn't have a lot of model behavior to follow. So I kind of did what I was taught. And that doesn't make it okay, but it makes me understand how I got there. Understanding how I got there, I'm able to have grace and say, wow, that was a bad place to be. It's okay that you got there. Let's not get there again. Let's try to avoid getting there in the future. And that's why I'm living in my current self, which is a person who's always trying to grow and continuing to work on myself and continuing to take accountability whenever necessary, not like whenever I'm getting called for it or whenever it becomes a point of contention. I want to take accountability whenever accountability needs to be taken. If I made a mistake, I want to be the one who proactively owns up for it and saying like, hey, I know I was supposed to take out the trash this week and I totally forgot. Like it's my fault. Like I've been working on it and I've been doing better, but I still forgot this week and I'm sorry. And most of the time, what you'll hear is like, oh, that's not really a big deal. Like, thanks for the apology. And it makes it seem like it's not that important. But I remember many times of forgetting something like that. It's real small and simple that I just didn't do, but I ignored it and I didn't take accountability for it. And that is where the bitterness really gets built in, is the not taking accountability for something, the not acknowledging the failure to do your duty, whatever it is. And so whenever you're starting to grow into this new person, you're starting to not new person, you're still yourself, this better version of yourself. It's important to recognize where you were. You can't just let it go completely. You have to remove it as your identity, but you have to keep the memory of it so you're aware of the things that you've done in the past. Unfortunately, the things that you have done are not gone and done. They exist in somebody's memory. They exist in somebody's, emotional trauma, their scars. Some of those were caused by this version of you that you've grown out of, but they haven't grown out of their scars. So, and you have to be mindful of that. As much as you're living in your truth and you're making progress and you're growing, if you're not aware of that, you can be slammed down to reality really hard and really fast by somebody saying, "But I remember when you were a fuck up." And it's like, well, how dare you? Well, how dare somebody remember? Like people should remember. You should remember. You should remember when you were a fuck up. Like you weren't actually, but you were actively doing that. So you need to remember that so you can, for one, you can see how far you've come. That's important to have that litmus test of saying like, this is how bad I was messing up before. Look at where I am now. Am I at the end of my journey? No. There's still plenty of room for growth, but I've grown so much from there. And I want to continue to grow because it feels much better to grow, even though it can be uncomfortable, even though it can hurt at times. It feels much better than the prison that is being frozen inside of yourself, inside of your mistakes, inside of your lies. That frozen prison to me is the worst feeling I've ever felt, and that's why I'm so proactively trying to help people get out of that, because there is a much better way to live, but there's a lot of truth involved. There's a lot of acceptance and grace and patience. There's a lot of different different emotions and actions that have to be counterbalanced in that. But the first one is you have to like accept what the truth is of where you are. And um, I think that the accepting the truth is the simplest thing, but it is the hardest part. Accepting the truth it is literally just removing the lies. Like just remove the lies. Stop telling yourself the lies you tell yourself. Stop accepting the lies that people tell you. It's all very simple, but it's not easy. And so like that's why I really enjoy this coaching process, because I get to tell people really simple things. Like it's like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. That's really simple, but it's hard to figure out. And I get to help people, from an objective stance, look from the outside and say, okay, now that we both have accepted that you want to stop doing whatever that thing is, let me help you figure out some strategies to where we can actively do that. And that to me is really, it's really enriching. I really feel the value that that people take from that in their lives, and it feels good. So as you are growing through whatever process, don't forget that you were somewhere else before. There was a beginning to that process, and there was probably a reason why you started down that that path. I think it's important to remember who that person was, because it was you. And as soon as you forget that it was you and you lose touch with that, you you've lost you've lost equilibrium. You're no longer going to be balanced in that growth in a way that it's going to be healthy, because you don't remember where you were. And especially with the ADHD brain, it's really easy to forget where you were and then now think that you've done nothing. Like, I've done no growth. I'm still a piece of crap, and I can't do anything right. And because you don't remember where you came from, you don't remember where the journey started. You've just gotten so focused on who you are right now and how you're not perfect, that you forget that you have grown. So it's really just a continual cycle of, like, tell the truth, start living that truth, and then assessing, like, how have I grown, where do I still need to improve, where did I come from, and then do it over again, and then continue that process over and over again, but never stop growing, but also never stop assessing and evaluating where you came from, or else you're going to lose balance in the growth and uh, the foundation of where you started. So that is all I want to talk about today. I'm not even going to make a pitch. I'm just going to get out of here and let everybody have a fantastic night. Please, please, please be yourself and love yourself. And I will talk